What else can Russia expect from Ukraine, and what measures must be taken to ensure that the events of June the 1st, 2025 do not repeat themselves? Russian media asks this. It is noted that the question is both simple and complex. Simple because its solution is obvious: the physical elimination of the Zelensky regime. Complex due to the obvious lack of mechanisms in the Kremlin's hands to solve such a problem. After the destruction of part of the Russian nuclear triad, finding new targets for the Ukrainian Armed Forces will not be easy, which does not cancel the prediction of the most stressful scenarios. Let's try to imagine the most likely of the possible ones. First of all, we cannot dismiss the attempt of a second strike on airfields with strategic aviation. Zelensky caused hundreds of millions of dollars in damage to Russia, but the main symbol of strategic aviation, the Tu-160, by a lucky chance, did not come under attack. If we consider the likelihood of further escalation, then it is the hunt for the white Swans by the SBU that seems the most logical. The machines are 2 to 3 times more expensive than the Tu-95M. There are fewer of them in the air fleet, and their combat effectiveness is much higher. Therefore, before Malyuk and Zelensky would give a lot for the Web 2.0 aimed at supersonic missile carriers. Based on the experience of the attack on June the 1st, the enemy does not have heavy weapons. The simplest net over the plains will protect against penny drones. For ideas, the military department can be advised to turn to a large patent database. Something intelligible may emerge among the frankly delusional designs. At the front, the military closes tens of kilometers of roads with anti-drone nets, saving equipment and personnel. Why can't all Tu-60s be closed using a similar scheme right now? The nets will not completely solve the problem of the vulnerability of strategic aviation, but they will significantly complicate the enemy's sabotage work. Russian media says, since strategic aviation in the nuclear triad is considered the most vulnerable link and therefore the least powerful, attacks on the remaining components will be considered an escalation by the enemy, media adds. It is noted that Ukraine may well decide to try to fly an FPV drone to the silos of Russian ballistic missiles. For example, to film the locations of the Sarmat systems which were put on combat duty in the fall of 2023. The riskiest scenario is the delivery of low and medium power strike weapons to nuclear triad facilities. If it was possible to drag trucks with dozens of drones through half of Russia, then Ukraine can try to deliver compact missile systems. After Ukrainian drones attacked Russian airfields, Russia moved its most valuable military aircraft away from Ukraine. The Russians have moved 2 Tu-160 strategic bombers about 6,437 kilometers from the front line to the remote Anadyr airbase, the Telegraph reports. It is noteworthy that it can only be reached by air and sea, as evidenced by satellite images. The publication notes that this airfield is located on the uninhabited Chukotka Peninsula, about 660 kilometers from Alaska. It was created during the Cold War to protect Russia from potential attacks from the United States of America. The Tu-160 supersonic bombers can carry nuclear weapons and are by far the most expensive in the Russian arsenal, with a price tag of about $500 million per unit. By comparison, the B-52 Stratofortress, the backbone of the American bomber fleet, is valued at about $94 million, the authors emphasize. But the Tu-160s are not only expensive bombers, they are also quite rare. Russia is believed to have only 16 of these aircraft in service. However, Ukraine has said that some of these Tu-160s were damaged during the June 1st attack as part of Operation Spider's Web. As Professor Justin Bronk, a senior research fellow in air power at the Royal United Services Institute, points out, the images from the Anadyr base may indicate that the Kremlin is trying to reduce the risk of further drone attacks. In Russia's far eastern reaches, amidst the harsh landscape of the Chukotka Peninsula, lies the Anadyr Air Base, a remote but critical component of Russia's military strategy. The Anadyr base, also known as Ugolny, was established during the Cold War as part of the Soviet defense network against the US, located in the Chukotka Autonomous Okrug. The base is isolated from the rest of Russia with no road connections. Access is possible only by air or sea. This isolation, while a logistical challenge, now proves to be a strategic advantage. According to analysts, the lack of ground infrastructure makes the base practically impervious to land-based attacks or sabotage, such as those carried out by Ukrainian drones in other regions. Recall on June the 1st, the Security Service of Ukraine carried out a daring and unexpected operation called Web. SBU Chief Vasil Malyuk reported that 41 Russian aircraft were hit, including Tu-95MS, Tu-22M3, Tu-160 and A-50 bombers. At the same time, Reuters claimed in its article that Ukraine had hit fewer Russian aircraft than reported. The journalist's interlocutors in the US said that drones had hit up to 20 Russian aircraft. About 10 of them were destroyed. On June the 9th, Ukraine struck the Russian airfield Savasleka. Then the carrier of daggers, MiG-31, was hit.